This is a review of significant figures. The reason we count significant figures is so that we can tell how good a measurement is. The basic types of digits that we need to look at when counting significant figures are non-zero digits, leading zeros, trapped zeros, and trailing zeros. The first type, which are non-zero integers, are always significant figures. This could be any of our numbers 1 through 9. The second type, which is never significant, are leading zeros. These are zeros that are before the first digit that's not a zero. So, for example, if we have a number that's less than 1, it will usually have zeros in the front of it, unless it's written in scientific notation. We can also have trapped or captive zeros, which are always significant. These are zeros that are trapped between two digits that are not zeros. So, for example, if we had 802, the 0 in the 802 would be between the 8 and the 2, which means that it is going to be a significant figure. The last basic type of digit is going to be a trailing zero. Trailing zeros are zeros that are at the very end of our number, and these are only significant if we have a decimal point that's actually written into our number. So, for example, if we had the numbers 100, number 100 can be written in two basic ways. The first way is 100, 100, and in that case, there's no written decimal point in our number, which means that since there's no written decimal point, it only has one significant figure. We can also have the number written as 100 with a written decimal point at the end, in which case, since it has a written decimal point in the number, we would have three significant figures. In our examples here, we can see in this first example that we have zeros in multiple places, and we also have some non-zero digits. Since we have three non-zero digits here, our 1, 7, and 9, we know we will have at least three significant figures in our answer. Then we need to look at the different types of zeros that are listed and figure out which ones of them are and are not significant. The first set of zeros we see are these that are at the very front. Since they're at the very front, before the first digit that's not a zero, which would be our 1, they're going to be leading zeros, which means that they are not going to be significant in our answer. We also have a second set of zeros right here in the middle. There's only one of them, and it's between the 7 and the 9. Since it's between two digits that are not zero, that's going to fall into the category of a trapped or captive zero, which means that it is significant, which means we have at least four significant figures with our three non-zero digits and our one captive zero. That takes care of all of our digits except for this last zero, which is at the end, making it a trailing zero. Trailing zeros are only significant if there is a decimal point written in the number. And if we look towards the beginning of our number, we do see a written decimal point, which means that this last zero is going to be a significant figure. Counting them up, the 1, 7, the 0 between the 7 and the 9, and that last zero are all significant figures, which means in this number we have 5 significant figures, which is often abbreviated as sig figs. We have a second example here, which is 470,000. In this number, we see a couple of non-zero digits here at the beginning, the 4 and the 7. We also see a set of zeros afterwards. All of these zeros are going to fall under the category of trailing zeros because all of them are after the rest of the digits that are not zero. Since there's no decimal point written in this number, there's an assumed decimal point after the last zero, but since it's not actually written, none of those zeros are going to be significant, meaning that there's only two significant figures in this number.